All right, welcome back to Rare Elvis Photos. We have been reading Child Bride, Elvis and Kathy, and started on Johnny Lang, his book called My Army Days with Elvis, Friendship, Football, and Follies. It's a great book. You know, I understand why there's so many views on Elvis and Kathy and Child Bride. I don't understand why there's so few views on this, because I think it's one of those things where YouTube must not be pushing it as much. So if maybe share it with your fellow Elvis fans, because Johnny's definitely got a great story to tell. This is not a very long read, um, but it's funny. There's some great things. We read through Elvis's secretary, Elvis's homemade ice cream sundae. This is where we're at now on My Army Days with Elvis, by Johnny Lang. So I hope Johnny's getting a kick out of you guys enjoying this. And when I say guys, I mean gals and guys. It's just a language thing. Anyways, let's start. Let's go ahead and get reading. Please like, subscribe, hit all notifications. The ads that pop up here and there hopefully aren't going to be too long for y'all, so you can get through to the end of the reading here. So chapter 5, Elvis's homemade ice cream sundae. Our ship docked in Bremerhaven, Germany. I went to Curzon. That's where they put me in the 36th Infantry, 3rd Armored Division. They put Elvis in a tank outfit. I hadn't seen him in about a month, and I thought, man, I gotta find him. Because the last thing he said to me was, come and see me anytime, Johnny. And I said, no problem. For about a month, I didn't. Everyone knew where Elvis was. I just said, hey, where's Elvis at? And someone said, he's staying at this hotel in Grunwald. I got up and I knocked on the door, and when a guy said, who is it? I said, yeah, I'm Johnny Lang. I think Elvis said it'd be okay. And they said, hey, Elvis, do you know this guy? Elvis said, oh, yeah, come on in, Johnny. I came in, shook his hand. I hadn't seen him about a month. He said, you want something to drink, Johnny? I said, no, thanks, as I was still a bit starstruck. Elvis said, all right, just come on in. Have a soda pop or something. I said, okay, and he made me an ice cream sundae. I took it and said, thank you, El. I was quiet at first, just taking it all in. In an ordinary circumstance, I would be rather energetic and a fun-loving guy. This was extraordinary. At age 22, I was still trying to process being accepted into this guy's universe and was trying to get my bearings. Eventually, I would settle in with Elvis and his buddies and embrace what was in front of me. I couldn't possibly realize how such a simple moment like that could bring me such joy thinking back on it in my 80s. I imagine there's a small group of people in the world served an ice cream sundae by the king of rock and roll. It's a cool story. What I love about this, and I know y'all are going to love about it, is just the fact that Elvis, once again, showed his giving side, showed his servant side. There's, doing something simple like that to bring joy to somebody. I know he wasn't thinking, well, this guy's going to remember this when he's 80 years old. Elvis was just trying to bring some joy into Johnny's life, and I'd just be given. All right, karate practice. Chapter 6. Well, I kept going back to the hotel because Elvis and his friends stayed there for 4 months until they eventually moved. Actually, they got kicked out. The main reason, we were breaking things, lighting off fireworks, but mostly for having water fights in the hallway with Elvis, Red West, Lamar Fike, and Charlie Hodge. We were using water guns to have these fights in the hallways, just like kids. I went up to Grunwald 2 or 3 times in 4 months to visit Elvis. He moved from there to the house he rented in Bad Nauheim. I went there every weekend for a year and a half, from noon on Sundays until about 10 p.m. on Sundays, because I had to get back to the base by midnight. A lot of stories and memories in that house. One day, I got to the house, and I've got to fight my way through about 100 people. They're all looking at me like, who the hell is this? I get up to the door, knock on the door, and call out, Lamar! Lamar opens the door and says, oh, Johnny, come on in. Well, I went in. The people outside were all wondering, who's this little twerp going in there? Then I said, what's going on? I can hear them in the living room. Lamar answered, Elvis is in there, and he's practicing karate. I said, really? Yeah, come on in. So I walked in. Lamar came in with me, and all the other guys were there. I said, hey, babe, how you doing? Elvis said, hey, how you doing, Johnny? Here's what I want. I want everybody to clear out of the room. and I want to do a little karate with Johnny. And I said, wait a minute, I'm 5'7", 145 pounds. What's going on? He said, oh, there's nothing to be alarmed about. If I get in a fight with someone, big, small, fat, or skinny, I don't need to be prepared. I need to be prepared. If I get in a fight with somebody, big, small, fat, or skinny, I need to be prepared because there are different situations when you fight different guys. You're a little guy, so this is in the case I run into a little guy like you. I said, you've got to be kidding me. No, I'm not going to hurt you. Everybody clear out. I just want me and Johnny to be here. Well, everybody clear out of the room, and I noticed he's got about a $5,000 ring on his finger. He said, I'm not going to hurt you, Johnny. Let me go through my stance here, and I'll give you a couple moves. Well, he went through his stance, simulating a striking move, and grazed my ear, making it bleed with that giant ring. I thought, I'm going to nail this guy. So I said, hey, man, look at my ear. At this point, he starts hugging me and says, Johnny, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you, buddy. Now, of course, I may have milked it a bit. I continued, man, my ear, you made me bleed. I know I'm sorry, he said. What can I do to make it up? Well, you can give me that ring on your finger. I'm not that sorry, Johnny. Well, I just thought I'd ask. I ain't going to let you hurt me no more, I teased. He said, no, that's it for today. And then they all came back in the room and they saw the blood. I said, I'm okay. Elvis said, I don't want to talk about it. That's hilarious. It reminded me of a little story of me where I was teaching somebody a kata that I wrote for martial arts, and they were supposed to do it a certain way, and I was supposed to block a certain way. I was supposed to block low, and instead of going low, they went high, and got me good on the chin, and yeah, I might have milked that a little bit too, and I might have caught them high myself when I was supposed to have them block low later on, but that's a funny story. Good old Johnny Lang. Okay, so obviously, this is Johnny right there. There you got Elvis there. And then you got Elvis there, and you got Johnny running with a football. All right, fan mail, chapter 7. One day I got to the house, and everybody was out of the house, all of them. Elvis wasn't there. The guys aren't there. And I don't know where they're at. So we had a certain room and a special army bag for fan mail. Elvis would get nearly 10,000 letters a week. I often went and got them with the old man, Vernon Presley, to drop off in the room designated for fan mail. And I was looking around and I thought, well, hell, I'll wander in the fan mail room. Then I sat down in a chair, opened the bag up, and took some of the fan mail out. I start reading aloud. Dear Johnny, I would love to have your baby. I know it's hard, but maybe someday we can meet. I pulled another one out. Johnny, I'd like to have your baby, maybe someday. And all of a sudden, I turn around, and there's Elvis. He scared the hell out of me because I didn't know he was behind me. He asked, what the hell are you doing, Johnny? He asked, what the hell are you doing, Johnny? I said, I'm reading your fan mail. He said, do you mind? I said, laughing, no, I don't mind, do you? He said, let's get out of here and go into the living room. I just got the biggest kick out of it, pretending it's me, that is. I didn't know that Elvis was behind me. I just loved his reaction and cherished that memory. All right, so chapter 8. Memories of Vernon Presley, Elvis's father. One of the first times I met Vernon Presley. Now, well, before I get back, I bet you that Elvis knew Johnny was coming over. And since he was such a practical joker, he probably hid somewhere, he probably knew every room in that house, maybe a back entrance, and did it on purpose just to be a practical joker to Johnny. At least that's what I'd like to think. Okay, so memories of Vernon Presley's, Elvis's father. So one of the first times I met Vernon Presley, he was in the hospital over in Germany. I don't recall why he was there, but I remember visiting the old man in the hospital. I always referred to Elvis's father as the old man. This was also one of the only times that I met his new girlfriend, Dee Stanley. About a month went by. Vernon Presley and I were in the car, and he said, well, what do you think of my girlfriend, Johnny? Referring to Dee Stanley. Well, talk about a stupid guy. Without thinking, I actually said, well, my mother always said, if you can't say something nice about somebody, you shouldn't say anything. Ooh, The guy just looked at me and said, "What are you talking about?" I knew I goofed up, but it was too late. Just being silly and immature, I guess. And that was one of my first meetings with Mr. Vernon Presley. Speaking of the old man, there was one incident that he and I just, let's just say, didn't see eye to eye on. It had to do with my challenging him over his harsh treatment of one of our friends, Lamar Fike. Now, we all know Lamar got picked on quite a bit. That's no secret in the Elvis world. I mean, Elvis loved him, but he took a lot of ribbon. On that day, we were out picking up the fan mail, and Vernon wanted to stop off for a beer, and we drank our pints of lager. I asked Vernon why he had treated Lamar so harshly earlier that day, and he did not like it and very quietly said, "Finish up your beer, Johnny. Let's go." I mention this because I believe it had some relevance later on down the road. So, Chapter 9, Holiday and Ice. And you can see this book is going by pretty quickly. This is not going to be a long series. In fact, let's take a look at some pictures here before we get to Holiday and Ice. Nice little picture section. And Johnny had a lot more pictures, but he'd borrowed them to somebody, I guess, and they never got returned. That's Guy Chartrand, which is his fraternal brother right there, because he was twins, just like Elvis. Me and my twin again in 57. Then you got the most recent picture of he and his twin there. So that's Johnny in 2019. My U.S. citizenship photo in 51. St. Mary's High School in Royal Oak, Michigan, class of 55. Then you got setting sail from New Jersey to Germany. Down below there, you see Elvis there. And up top, you see Johnny Lang. There's Elvis. There's Johnny Lang. Private First Class Johnny Lang, 3rd Armored Division, 36th Infantry Scout Platoon in 58. And you got Elvis right here. Elvis and me on the sideline during a Sunday football game. I was in a bit of pain due to someone stepping on my toes just prior to this photo being taken. That's the price I paid for playing in my socks. You can run faster, I think, in the bare feet and socks. But yeah, there he is, trying to pretend he's not hurting. Taking the handoff from Elvis, trying to steer clear of Wes Daniels. Elvis and me waiting for the next play during a break at one of our football games. Notice my stocking feet. Taking a break during a Sunday football game. I'm staying in front center. Elvis is seated front and left. So, there's Johnny. There's Elvis down there. Elvis in front of his house. Cover of Photoplay magazine from left to right, me. A young German fan, Red West. So there's Red. So that's Johnny there. Another fan, Rex Mansfield right there, and then Wes Daniels. Lounging in the backyard at Elvis's home in Germany with some young gals who stopped by for photographs. Me and Red West, Elvis's longtime friend, bodyguard, and resident badass down there. Playing badminton with Elvis in the backyard at his home in Bad Nauheim, Germany, 1959. I bet you probably had never seen that picture. And you wouldn't probably because it's in Johnny's book. So, hey, I want y'all that are still here reading this book, and I hope it's all of you, to let me know whether you've seen the picture of Elvis playing badminton in the backyard with Johnny. And if you did, well, that's Johnny Lang. And if you didn't, well, it's because it's Johnny's picture, I guess. The watch Elvis gave me after spending 10 days on the USS Randall. Okay, that's enough pictures right now because it could spoil something in the story. So let's go ahead and read a little bit more. Let's see. We got fan mail. Memories of Vernon Presley. Holiday on Ice. Now, this is one of the more famous moments of Elvis's time in Germany. You know, we know he went to the Moulin Rouge and, trips to Paris and all that stuff. But he went out there to Holiday on Ice. One Saturday night, Elvis says, "Well, what are we going to do tonight?" I said, "Well, Holiday on Ice is in town." He said, "What about it?" I said, "Well, we could go there." He said, "I don't have any tickets for that." I said, "Well, you got to be kidding. You don't need tickets." He said, "Well, you might have a point there. I'll tell you what. I think that's a great idea. Why don't we pile in 2 cars, fellas?" There was a 1954 green Cadillac, and I believe the other vehicle was an old Mercedes. Well, some of us piled in the Cadillac, and the rest of the guys followed in the other car. Off we went to Frankfurt, Germany to see Holiday on Ice show. We arrived and Elvis said, Johnny, go see how we can buy some tickets. And you tell him I'm here, see if we can come in. I said, okay. And I got out of the car and walked over to the box office. Has the Holiday on Ice started yet? I asked. She said, nope. I said, I'm a good friend of Elvis Presley. He's out in the car, and he'd like to come see it. I don't believe you, sir. I answered, no problem. Can you get the manager? I'll tell him I'm not lying. The manager came up and I said, you want to see Elvis Presley? He's right out here in the car, and he wants to see the show. He looked out there and said, my God, it's Elvis Presley, and went over to the car. I followed him. He said, Mr. Presley? Elvis said, I'd like to come in to see the show. Okay, well, that'll be our pleasure, the manager says. Then Elvis says, I want my friends to go too. No problem. Shut off the car and come on in. We will start the show. Well, they put seats in the front because they were all sold out. The lights were turned off so the people there could see the show. They don't see what happened. Let me start this over. The lights were turned off so the people there to see the show don't see what's happening. Then the lights come on. Okay. Well, what are the odds? His back was turned to everybody as he was looking at the stage. We were at the stage right in front. We all got to see the ice skaters in the festive Christmas-themed show. They dimmed the lights, and it was an entertaining show. The manager came up to Elvis after the show and says, Mr. Presley, the cast would like to meet you after the show. Elvis says, I got no problem with that. And then he asks, what about my friends? Yeah, no problem, Mr. Presley. When the show was over, we met some women there from Norway, Sweden, England, and France, and all the gals in the show. I remember thinking, Lord have mercy. We went back and we met everybody, including this incredibly beautiful woman skating in that show. We met the cast and had a great time after the show was over. The manager said, Mr. Presley, they're having a party after the show is over. Would you and your friends like to attend? Elvis said to me, I got it, Johnny. Then he said to the manager, sure, no problem. We all went back to the hotel, and we were being entertained by the various gals, skaters, and members of the cast. In addition to us, there was also some locals and regular people there, too. So Elvis picks the gal whose type I prefer. I refer as to the queen of the hop because back then that's what we call the most stunning of all the gals. Page 54 shows a picture of us backstage at the show. Elvis was swarmed with beauties as usual. Let's go to page 54. That might have been the page right before I stopped looking at the photos and see what Johnny is referring to here. Page 54, 52, 53, and 54. There they are. I think I might have put that in a recent video, actually, the last couple of days. Because I definitely have that picture looking dapper and debonair. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah, no problem. I said I got it, Johnny. Sure, no problem. That's right. Okay. So during the course of the evening, everybody went their own way or back to their own room, and Johnny, leftover, referring to me, didn't get the queen of the hop, but the gal I did meet was a doll. At 4 o'clock in the morning, knock, knock, knock on my door. Elvis was standing there. Let's go, Johnny. I said, really? I want to go. I said, okay, Al. So we got everybody together and we left. It's now about 5 in the morning after meeting everybody from Holiday on Ice show, and I thought it was quite an enchanting evening. I was then known as Johnny Leftover. After that evening, that's the nickname they gave me. The reason is Elvis would naturally get to pick the most beautiful girl in the bunch, or anywhere else for the matter. Then there might be 10 or 15 gals left over, which he would sometimes entertain 2 or 3, and the rest of us guys would wander around to each other and say, are you free tonight? She'd say, I sure am, and that's how I got the name Johnny Leftover. Not the coolest nickname, but he had a nickname for everybody. Elvis gave everybody nicknames. Rex Mansfield was Rexodus, Elizabeth was Foghorn, etc. Everybody had their nicknames. Well, this is quite enjoyable. Now we got Blood Brothers here. Chapter 10. You never knew what Elvis was going to do. We were sitting there shooting the breeze one afternoon, and he said, hey, Johnny, why don't you and I become blood brothers? I said, blood brothers? He said, yeah, just like the old Western days. I said, okay, where's the knife? Well, get one in the kitchen. So I went and came out with a butter knife. Elvis said, okay, start with yourself, then I'll cut mine, and then you give me the top of your hand, and that's how you become blood brothers. So I take the dull butter knife to the top of my hand and said, hey, I'm cutting, and it's not happening. Elvis looked at me and said, I'll forget it. I said, okay, I'm getting another knife. Okay, forget it. Well, this would have worked, except I got a butter knife. What an idiot I was. We could have been blood brothers. He said, forget it, Johnny. I knew I should have gotten a sharper knife. What was the matter with me? You know what? I mean, this is what I like about this book. Johnny is putting it all out there. He's not trying to make himself bigger and cooler, than everybody else. He's, he's referred to himself a couple times, as just making mistakes, just being immature, just not thinking, and that's kind of what I imagine what somebody would feel like maybe in the presence of Elvis, especially when you were, when you grew up like Johnny, Johnny was in a sense adopted out, given up by his father, didn't have a mother. You're probably uncertain of yourself a little bit. And, talking to Johnny, hearing stories about Johnny, he's got a great sense of humor. And I just think that's just one of the coolest stories of the book, because, yeah, he could have been a blood brother, but the knucklehead that he was here, and I say that with love and affection, he got a butter knife. Now, who the heck gets a butter knife to cut yourself with? Nobody that I know of. Anyways, hopefully Johnny enjoyed that. All right, chapter 11, Grandma's Fury. This one time we went to his house, and Elvis and I ended upstairs in his room with typical horseplay. At that time, I was 22 years old. I've been a steel worker for 3 years at J&L Steel in Warren, Michigan. I'm 145 pounds and in pretty good physical shape. And, of course, you got to be in good physical shape to be in the military. We were wrestling on the bed. I was able to get him into a full Nelson. Now, he's panicking because I'm really holding him. Little old me versus 6-foot-tall Elvis, and he can't break it. We're bouncing up and down on the bed, and he's trying to break out of it, and the bed collapses. Now, his grandma, Minnie Mae Presley, nicknamed Dodger, is downstairs, and here's the commotion. She comes running. She said, "What's going on here? Oh, my God, you broke the bed. What are you guys doing?" Well, Elvis blames me. He said, "Grandma, Johnny's the one who broke the bed." I said, "Thank you, El. I appreciate that." She chewed me out up and down. "Young man, you should behave yourself," she said. "You shouldn't be like that, and you should be a gentleman." I said, "Okay, Grandma," trying to apologize. And Elvis was just sitting there grinning. She left him, and I told him, "We broke that bed because you couldn't break my full Nelson, powerful man." So that's a funny story. This is where I'm going to leave it. And we'll read some more. But I wanted to get a second reading of this book in because some of y'all have been asking about it. And I really hope YouTube lets it trend a little bit more because it's a cool book. It really is. It's got a bunch of short stories. It's very easy to read. And there's some stories that you just have not heard. You really haven't heard unless you read his book. So make sure you find it. I'm not getting anything from telling you guys to go find it on Amazon. But buy it from a major retailer like Amazon or Walmart so Johnny gets something in the mail. He's, I think, 92, 93, 94. He's up there. And I honestly wish I had the funds to travel up and see him. And maybe I'll get around to it in 2025. Because he seems like a nice guy. Seems like a fun guy. And I'm sure there's more stories than what's in this book. So, anyways, TCB, TLC, till next time. Everybody say hi to Johnny in the comments, okay? And I'm going to continue to probably tell you guys to do that. I might even mention that, and Elvis and Kathy and Child Bride. I need to start mentioning to go over to the podcast that I have on my page for my Army Days with Elvis. So more people can get involved and see the book. All right, till next time. God bless all y'all. Take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Treat yourselves with love. Treat those around you with love. And if you're lonely and haven't talked to somebody lately, come on the page, talk to people, reach out to an old friend if you can find an old friend, and family member, all that good stuff. So, all right. And if you're in North Carolina or the areas affected by the hurricane down in Florida, our prayers are with you. It's a horrible situation going on right now. I feel terrible for the people that are displaced and for everything going on in the world right now. All right. Take care. Till next time, this is Rare Elvis Photos.